we recently received an extension on the amnesty for firearms owners. Once again, we are so dangerous, so terribly, terribly dangerous, that now all of us have owned these highly dangerous firearms, according to the Liberals, for 6 years. It doesn't make any sense. But again, I cheer for government incompetence and Liberal infighting here. But do you, in all honesty, do you even think that this gun ban is going to be completed? Do you think they're ever going to be able to execute their plans to disarm the population? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they are shuffling guns onto this list of banned firearms that they don't even know how many of them are in the country. So how do you know the cost, where they are, and how do you plan to round them up? I just think it's so impossible, but they're in bed with the activists and they don't know what to do now.
Yeah. You know what? And what's going on is they're throwing these little pieces of bait out there to find out what's out there. Their mission right now is a fact-finding mission. Like you said, they don't know what's out there. So they're putting these little things like Cape Breton out there to figure out how many of these guns are out there, what's out there. And the fact of the matter is, people are waking up. You know, people are saying, we're not going to comply unless we absolutely have to. And that's why they keep extending this. And I believe, and like the NFA works within the law to change the law, but I believe there's going to be a lot of non-compliance out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a real problem for them. They don't know what's out there. You know, they basically know what was registered, the AR-15s and a few other restricted rifles at the time. But there's thousands, if not, you know, I can't even put a number on it myself, of these firearms out there. And, you know, they think people are just going to just bow to them. And, you know, when time's out, say, well, okay, this is what I've got. I'm going to take 5 cents on the dollar on this firearm, maybe if you don't run out of money. And I think they're caught between a rock and a hard place. I think they realize that this is nothing but a major billion-dollar boondoggle, and they don't know how to get out of it because at the end of the day, it's one of their positions they use for votes. Yeah. And the other thing is to take the heat off them about other stuff that's going on with the Liberal Party. The latest RCMP thing with SN Lavalin. You know, when you start talking about guns, it takes the heat off this other stuff.
Right.
And that's classic liberal. That's classic liberal. The way they operate. You know, get something else out there to take the heat off the subject that's present day.
Yeah, guns and abortion.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
You know, that's when the Liberals are in trouble. You'll hear them talking about both of those things. I mean, you have people who don't understand firearms trying to run the firearms program, and they don't understand anything about the make and models of these firearms, where they are, or anything like that. And the cost is going to balloon, and they have learned nothing from history. One of the biggest problems, and I say that from a liberal perspective, not from a conservative and or firearms owning perspective, but one of the biggest problems in the middle of the long gun registry was non-compliance, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing was useless because so many people didn't comply because the government didn't know what you had or what grandpa had, so you just didn't comply, and it made the registry useless. This is the same issue right now with the confiscation. Really, their list of who has what is completely useless.
Yeah. You know, we've been hearing rumors about them canceling the buyback, but you have to read into that a little farther because they didn't say anything about canceling the OIC or Bill C-21, which is a totally different thing with the handguns, but they didn't say anything. They said, well, you know what, we might cancel the buyback, but it looks like these guns, if they do that, these guns are still in the safes. You can't shoot them. So basically it kind of moves into a C-21 mode where after you pass away, these guns go for destruction. So, you know, it stirred some interest among firearms owners and got them a little excited when they were, there was rumors of them canceling the buyback. But you got to read a little deeper into that, because it's more than you can cancel the buyback, but if our guns are still caught in our safes, what good are they? So, right. That's what the NFA is doing right now. We've had a pretty successful last few months. Our new lobbyist has got over 60 lobbies. We've been talking to the right people at the right time. We've even spoke to a few liberals, and we're definitely making inroads. We actually put a pamphlet. We put a pamphlet out a few days ago. Sheila's, you've got a copy of it.
Yep. That
the CPC are using for talking points, because they didn't know some of this stuff. They didn't know that a Weatherby Mark V rifle, bolt action hunting rifle, was on the OIC ban list. They didn't know Ruger #1 was on the OIC ban list. They didn't know that a turn of the century rifle that there was only 5 produced of is on the ban list. So we've been trying to get the information out, and I think we've been doing a good job. Like I say, our lobbyist is amazing. Tom Maven is doing an outstanding job in Ottawa. Talking to these people, and information is key. And I speak to I travel across the country, and I speak to a lot of CPC MPs. I speak to a lot of people. A lot of them just don't know what's going on. Even the CPC guys don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on with the Order of Council, and they kind of play it off. Well, we're taking the party's position, but you know what? The party's position has to be increased, because they don't have enough information. So we're trying to get that information out right now, and it seems to be working. I'm happy to say I'm happy the way things have been going with the NFA. As far as getting the information out there, our people are working really hard. We're not focusing on lawsuits and stuff like that. We're actually focusing boots on the ground stuff in Ottawa, which seems to be working. So we're going to keep going in that direction. We're going to fight harder, and hopefully we can get this thing changed around.
Yeah. Just one thing I noticed the other day when I was watching the Senate committee, because they had some of these public safety types testifying at the Senate committee, was how for the most firearms heavy places of the province or of the country, and I exclude Alberta and Saskatchewan in this, but the people where they might subsistence hunt because the cost of food is so atrocious, or you might get mauled by a polar bear, so it's a real safety issue. They don't have their own CFOs. No. They've been waiting on the feds to appoint their CFOs, and it's just not the case. If you are in Nunavut, your CFO is in Manitoba. If you're in if you're in the Yukon, your CFO is in
BC.
Is in BC.
Yeah.
And so I think that's so disrespectful to the people there, and the different firearms cultures. But again, the Liberals just don't care. They think they know what's best, and it's one solution for everybody.
Yeah, and you're right. You summed it up there. The Liberals don't care. This isn't, and I'm repeating myself, this isn't about public safety. This isn't about, law-abiding Canadians going out and, causing havoc with a firearm. This is all about votes and how they can, weasel their way in and use talking points. And I believe there might be an election coming up, and they're going to be working on this stuff. And, the firearms is going to be to the forefront again.
Yep.
Even though it's causing turmoil in their own party, they have to use it, because there's a part of the population that likes to hear this stuff. I'm not even going to get into what this new woke stuff and stuff is all about. But the thing is, even that part of the population, Sheila, they don't understand about firearms. They don't understand about sustenance hunters. They don't understand about sport shooters. They don't understand about collectors. They think a firearm is going to go out there by itself and cause havoc, which it's not.
Right.
It's just it's all about public perception, and guess who's causing this perception? It's the Liberals. And again, I go back to follow the votes and follow the money.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of people in this country who live in cities plagued by crime, and they can't figure out that it's progressive policies in their city
Exactly.
that are causing those crimes, and then the progressive policies of the Liberals' catch and release bail system, and then also the Liberals' inability to control what happens at our border. All of those things are causing an inflated crime rate in this country. But we are, of course, the path of least resistance as the most law-abiding people in this country.
God forbid if you defend your home.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you know, the Liberals won't shut up about misinformation, but they are the biggest purveyors of misinformation about people like you and I.
Exactly, and you know and that's always been their MO, and it's going to continue to be their MO. This new prime minister, I talk to people, and a lot of people are saying, "Where is this guy? Nobody sees him. He's not doing anything. He's
Europe generally."
Yeah,
where's the prime minister of
exactly.
Europe? I think.
Yeah, that's a whole. That's not the NFA's alley, but still, it just.
Yeah, we have some problems here. Someone might want to fix.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Just their appointments and stuff like this public safety minister is. It ceases to amaze me how these people work. It really does.
Yes.